Hey, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to give you guys a 6-week update on owning the 2024 Subaru Outback Wilderness. Tell you some things that I really enjoy, some things that I dislike, and then some things that are still trying to figure out. So first, let's go with the likes. So the likes is the power. 260 horsepower Boxster engine made it to the CVT has been excellent. We had a 3,000 plus mile road trip to Houston. The car did fabulous. In Houston traffic, merging, having to keep up with traffic, everything worked out just the way it should. I was really nervous about the CVT, not ever having one, and sometimes reading bad things about them. But I think the best thing I can say about it is you don't think about it. You hit the gas and it goes, which is good. Next thing, comfort. 3,000 miles is a long time to be in a car, and the seats are supportive, yet cushy. It's like you kind of sit down into them. They are I believe a Syntex, like kind of like synthetic leather, but they're just, it's for us, we're not big folks, but they're perfectly contoured to our body. Like, they hold you, but they're not overly aggressive like in sports cars, but they're not like my Sequoia that's kind of flat, just kind of slide around. So they really are just really the best of both worlds, and my wife and I both found them to be supportive, yet comfy. So comfort, really good in the Subaru Outback Wilderness. The third thing would be storage. Storage is ample. So I've put up a picture here of the way the back of our car looks. So we are empty nesters, so we are traveling by ourselves. I guess your mileage could vary if you had a large family, but we had enough room for our luggage for 2 weeks. We have an overland fridge that we keep in there, so we can keep water and some snacks and not, eat a little healthier than getting everything at a gas station. And we had plenty of room. We take our dog a lot, so the back seat's always open, and it's just nice to have all that extra storage room. I guess it's one of the things where having a wagon kind of comes in handy. They are very utilitarian. And then the fourth thing that we've really liked so far is safety. And I'm going to talk about is one of the things that still growing on me a little bit, but we were on the interstate right outside of Atlanta, probably doing 80-ish miles an hour, and something blew out of a car, and everyone had to slam on their brakes, and it was very sudden. And the car, I believe, recognized it faster than we did, and so it was a little startling, possibly a little scary, but it did its job. It kept us safe. The car got stopped before we came up on the back of someone, so kudos for that. And it's a little different. I've never had a car that had that much technology, but definitely did what it was supposed to do. So that's always good. A few of the dislikes: the car's hot. The ventilation on the right side that should be hitting your face is totally blocked by the steering wheel. Now the dash and everything looks great. Don't know where else they could have put it, but when we were in Houston visiting my daughter, the days it was like 112 degrees, and it just felt like it took a long time for the car to cool down. Which kind of leads to another dislike, and it's possible this is in different Subaru Outback models. Ventilated seats would have been great. I know these cars aren't the most expensive in the world, but having ventilated seats I think is something that they could have kind of put in. But really, for true dislike, that's really about it. The car can be hot, which, here in the country under the trees is not that, as big a deal. In Houston, when it was 112, it seemed way more important as you sit there and sweat. Although I will say the saving grace for us was we had the Subaru Starlink, so we would start the car and let it cool down before we got out. I know, first world problems, but it was nice to have. A few of the things that I'm still kind of trying to figure out if I like or I don't like, or maybe I'll just get used to them. The first is the multimedia and the AC as part of the screen. It's okay. It's like most things in life, once you get used to it, you don't really think about it anymore. CarPlay on that screen looks phenomenal, but having to hit your AC occasionally, especially when you're either really hot or I guess we're really cold, even though we haven't had that yet. Every now and then, it's a little, but for the most part, not too bad. You learn to where it hit max cold very quickly with the screen. And again, the CarPlay looks great, so I don't think long term that's going to be an issue, but definitely a growing pain if you're just kind of used to buttons like we were. The other thing that's still growing on us, and I madly appreciate it, but at the same time it can be a little annoying, is all the safety stuff, the eyesight. Here, I wish it had a country mode. I do realize that you can turn the lane departure and stuff off, and it worked really good on our road trip. As you drive along, I think we drove 14 hours one day, so all the extra nannies are good. But I do wish it had a country mode here sometimes at night or early in the morning if you're going to the gym. You might drive a little more in the center of the road because you're worried about deer, and you're definitely not worried about traffic out here. And it beeps at you just all the time. It's got lights. It's kind of like the Death Star at times up on front. Tells you which lane you're going over. But again, it did save us potentially. So I guess there's way more like than dislike, but it is something to get used to. The other thing that I guess I'm fighting to figure out, I guess I really do like it, but is just different from any vehicle I've had, is the assisted cruise control. When you're on a road trip, I-10, man, the assisted cruise was great. The only issue me and Eyesight had is, I guess I'm not a normal 10 and 2 driver. I like to keep my hand just on the bottom. It didn't appreciate that and would tell me all the time that my hand was not on the steering wheel when it was. But outside of that, it did. It worked really, really well, and definitely made a 14-hour road trip a lot easier and more comfortable than probably it should have been. But that's kind of where we're at. I'll keep you guys updated. Definitely looking at doing some mods. Overall, I really like the look of the car. I'm not going to do anything too crazy. Researching lifts, I mean, they do look good, but from everything I've read, and you guys can tell me in the comments if I'm wrong, even if you lift a Outback, unless you go crazy, which I would not do, but just a simple like kind of boost lift, inch or two, you can't put on bigger tires. So it looks better, but you can't put on taller tires because basically you're limited by the wheel arch. But probably the first mod that we're going to do is I've been looking at some light bars, and I didn't really talk about the lights, but they're great. I mean, we live out, there's no street lights. When you come home here, it's totally dark, and they light up, and they have the adjustable pattern. So when you turn your steering wheel, they kind of match your turning radius, which is really, really nice. But I have been looking at a couple light bars, so that'll probably be the first mod. We'll get those on there and try to do a video of that, just to keep you guys down the path. But anyway, if you're thinking about getting one, it's and they're great. I do not believe there is a vehicle for the price right now on the market that can beat this car, as long as it meets your needs, right? If you're gonna rock crawl, this is not the car for you. If you need to tow a SUV, you know, this is not the car for you. I have a Sequoia for that. So, but if you need to go anywhere, do it in comfort, I think style, but that's in the eye of the beholder. For the price right now, I do not think that there is anything that can beat the Subaru Outback Wilderness. So if you're still hanging with me, I appreciate it. If you could give me a like and subscribe to the channel, that would be great. And remember, adventure without definition.